Nigeria, the entrepreneurial energy is undeniable, and for years economists and analysts have been saying by 2020 Nigeria will be amongst the largest economies in the world, able to consolidate leadership in Africa and establish itself as a significant player in the global economic and political arena. Meanwhile, South Africa, which was the continent's largest economy before the rebasing of the Nigerian economy, appears stuck as it throws up weak growth numbers and high unemployment figures. Entrepreneurship has been touted as the answer to South Africa's economic woes. To discuss this, I'm joined by Ettiene Pretorius, one of South Africa's top entrepreneurs and real estate developer, author and international speaker. Ettiene, what a pleasure to meet you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me on the show. I mentioned it to you a little bit earlier that I think I need to congratulate you on the way you're constructing this whole leading opinion to get entrepreneurs, get influential people on the show to share their vision, their background, their 10,000 hours and help the masses out there to really become significant and help themselves help them. You know?
Ettiene, thank you so much. I'm so flattered by that compliment, and I really want to talk to you because you are a game changer in South Africa as an entrepreneur, and I'm totally fascinated by your story. You started at the tender age of 6 as an entrepreneur. Tell us more about that.
The question I get asked all the time is, how do I become an entrepreneur? The only answer I can give is discover your passion. And you know how you discover your passion? The clue to your life's purpose? Look at your talents. Have you ever seen the video clip Yo-Yo Mastery? So this little guy's got a yo-yo and he plays this yo-yo and he speaks all over the world, but he's a phenomenal yo-yo player. And right at the end of his show, so he gives this phenomenal show with a yo-yo, and right at the end he takes up this yo-yo and he says, I'm speaking all over the world and influencing the world with this yo-yo. What do you do with your talents and your passion? Because I've discovered mine. So that's the kind of thing that I wanted to convert. You know, entrepreneurship, you don't become an entrepreneur. You discover your passion, your purpose, and then ultimately it just happens. You become,
it's
you
not
are
as
an
easy
entrepreneur.
to science, entrepreneurship. There's a lot of focus on developing entrepreneurs. You know, the need to churn out entrepreneurs so that we can have growth, we can have sustainable jobs in the economy.
Entrepreneurs can be created, but the way you create an entrepreneur is by allowing him to find out exactly who he is, what's his strong points, what's his weak points, and then focusing on the strong points. Because the second you focus on your strong points, then ultimately your ultimate goal should be to use that strong points and help other people, right? Because at the age of 6, people ask me, how did you make money at the age of 6? How did you think that I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to make money, and I want to sell stuff to people? It's not that at all, and that is exactly the point I'm trying to make. So all I saw is there were 350 people working on the farm, right? And they had to walk to town, 15 kilometers there, 15 kilometers back. And they went there to buy their drinks. It was black label, you know, these black label quarts, and Smirnoff vodka and VO brandy. I'll never forget it. And the only thing that I could think of is shame. These poor people have to walk 30 kilometers just to enjoy themselves, just to have a nice drink. And I said to my mum, listen, can I borrow 2,000 Rand from you? This was back in 1988.
At the age of 6, you asked your mum to borrow 2,000 Rand.
Remember,
that is adorable.
But remember, it wasn't about money. That's the point. Entrepreneurship is not about money. People that want to be an entrepreneur to make money, they're in it for the wrong reason. Okay, it's like someone out the other day said to me, I want to get into real estate because I want to create passive income so I can sit on my ass all day on my yacht.
It's an opportunity to serve is what you're saying.
It's exactly that. And I said, well, if you want to get into real estate to earn passive income so you can sit on your yacht, you're in it for the wrong reason, you'll never have it. You'll never have it. But be in it to change the game, then you'll have it.
So coming back to what I was asking you earlier and painting the economic backdrop against which this rhetoric is coming out that we have to drive entrepreneurial activity in the country right now. Do you think that the education system needs a shake-up in terms of how it approaches entrepreneurial development?
Absolutely, all right? Now, I'm not saying allow the kids that's got a bit of ADD at school to be a little bit different. I'm not saying don't let them run around and do everything. But you know what's the funny thing? I've always been the same, all right? I've always been the person that's different, okay? I've always had certain achievements and failures. But at school, having the same type of personality, it's frowned upon and dampened, and you always get in trouble, and it gets taken away from you.
So you have to fit in with the system that's being offered.
Exactly. Now the system that's being created is being created by media, newspapers, television, and that all the shows, the 7 Alon, all those kind of things we watch, is not a real world, but we perceive it as real, and our perceptions is our reality, and that becomes our reality, that becomes our lives, and that is the biggest problem. So you never have the opportunity to stimulate your thoughts, your entrepreneurial skills, your creativity. You forget being a Peter Pan, you know, you forget being the little Tinkerbell and the Wendy. You grow up, and at one point you overanalyze things to such a level where you put yourself out of the game before you even start. Because, and there's the other thing, when you meet guys like Branson or Trumps and all these guys, the second you meet them, you look at them and you realize that they are not action figures, they are real. But we perceive them as these people that's elevated to such a high level that they are action figures, they're not real. And before you've even started, you think to yourself, it's not real, why should I even try? You never even give yourself a chance.
I'm enjoying your energy, the energy that you bring to the space.
It's Red Bull.
It's
Joking.
It's electric and contagious, and you come across as a teacher and as a coach as well. Do you work with people? Do you train entrepreneurs?
I have started, yes. I started because of the demand and people asking, please can I mentor, please can I coach. Here's another thing. One thing that I did discover was that paying for advice is you get something for paid advice. But if you go out there and because I've got coaches and I pay them. I pay a lot of money for my business coaches to mentor me, to coach me, and to help me turn the right screw. People that stand around the Brightflace feed and talk about things and ask for advice, that's exactly what they'll get. Nothing. Okay? Because people have to do that mind shift. Because if you don't put skin in the game, why would you want to burn your ships and say, now I've got nothing to go to. Now, the only thing I can do now is run forward, fight and live, or run and die. And you got to put skin in the game sometime. And when it comes to coaching, mentoring, people come to me and say, listen, can you coach, can you mentor? And I say, yes, but you got to put something. You got to put skin in the game first of all. If it's money or if it's something you got to give back, but you can't get it for free. Never. It's a different mindset.
Now, you're definitely a self-driven person because, again, coming back to your personal history, you started at the age of 6, you got to earn your first $1 million at the young age of 21, and along the way you met up with these business coaches and you acquired more skills. But at what point, what was the biggest turning point for you on this journey?
There wasn't just one. Because that's a mistake a lot of people make. They think it's one turning point. It's a continuous turning. It's continuous turning points in your life. It's always redirecting yourself.
But you needed support. Along the way, you needed support to get to where you are.
Yes, I do. I've started at a very young age with exposure. So I've had a lot of exposure in my life. And someone the other day said to me, yes, Ettiene, but you grew up very privileged. I say, yep, you're very, very right with that one. But you know how hard it is for me that grew up privileged to stay motivated, driven, and find your passion. Because for someone that's the pain to fame, you read all about it. All the motivational speakers in the world are all saying, oh, I had nothing and I almost died and now I'm rich. I say that's utter bull, all right? Because they don't explain why they're doing something, because they discovered their passion. And that's the missing link. You can be wealthy and then successful. Because a lot of people grow up with wealth, but they never find their passion, so there's no influence after that. I know people that's worth R1 billion, but no one knows about them. Then I know people that's worth nothing. Mahatma Gandhi. Nelson Mandela passed away. He was worth 40 million rand. He was second to Coke. He was the most spoken name in the world. 40 million rand. In the bigger scheme of things, of this tycoon of a person, 40 million rand's nothing. But there's people that's billionaires. We don't even know about them. So it's about the power of your choices that you make in life that influences other people. That's where the real power lies.
Absolutely. Now, you spent time with Richard Branson, and you also attended the Success Summit that takes place every year in Johannesburg.
That's
How
right.
did that influence you? How did that shift you to a new level?
First of all, I went to the Success Summit to go and meet Richard Branson, okay? Because that was when I was 19. I started educating myself and reprogramming myself. I literally went back to zero-based thinking almost every single day. Zero-based thinking is forgetting what you know, but having that in your unconscious, not subconscious. Subconscious is recalling, unconscious is an emotion. And that's the era we live in, is the emotion era. Okay, I'll get back to that in a point. So I said, I want to meet this influential person because this guy inspires me to be different. All right, and I said so last year there was this ad, and I said I want to meet Richard Branson. You pay for the ticket, and you've got the opportunity to shake his hand. And I went there, and I was very disappointed because the promise that was given to me was never delivered. Because I couldn't meet him, so it was about 10 meters away. There was bodyguards all around him, and I couldn't meet him, and I was disappointed. And I said, I'm not done with this one. I'm going to meet this guy. I've got it on my board. I've got this picture, and I said, this is the person I'm going to meet. And 1 year later, at the Success Summit, I met a person there called JT Fox. He's a wealth coach, and he taught me a few principles on how to approach certain markets, do marketing and branding at a different level. And a year later, implementing a few strategies, I spent 5 days with Richard on his island, and it was one of the most you know what, if I have to ask you, how do you tie your shoelaces, explain it to me in words. You can't do it. You can't really explain how you tie your shoelaces in words. You can do it with your eyes closed.
Sure.
And that's the experience I had with Branson. It's like, there's no words for it, but the emotion was something that changed my life, and it made me think, you know what, there's more in life than you and money.
That is awesome. It was such a privilege to meet you today. I really enjoyed that. I feel so inspired. You've actually shifted the way I look at entrepreneurship as well. It's not just about money. It's not just about creating jobs. It's about your life purpose. It's about your vision. It's about serving each other. And everything else is the spin-offs that follow.
Very, very true.
What a big privilege. Thank you so much for your time today.
It was an honor. Thank you.